The cops showed up at my house because I refused to give the HOA a key to my garage. They said I might be hiding hazardous materials when the truth was I had caught them breaking in, and when I played the video for my neighbors, the whole neighborhood finally saw their true faces. That was the day I realized my fight wasn't just about a door or a key. It was about control and about whether I was willing to let someone take my home away from me piece by piece. My name is Ben Carter. I'm a carpenter by trade, the kind of guy who needs his corners square, his lines straight, his garage quiet. I'd saved for years to buy a house, and when I moved into Meadow Ridge Estates, I thought I'd finally found peace. A gray little house, a neat lawn, and most importantly, a 2-car garage. Inside that garage was my workshop, my sanctuary. It held 2 things that mattered more than anything else: my grandpa's 1968 Triumph Bonneville candy, apple blue, running like a memory, and a heavy old safe I'd picked up at a storage auction. 4 of us had wrestled it off the truck, but I hadn't even cracked it open yet. Just a mystery box sitting in the corner, humming with possibility. It was perfect for about a week. Then came the letter. The HOA, always hiding behind rules and fake smiles, called me to a mandatory meeting. Karen Moore was the president. She had that expression that said she knew what was best for you, and you'd better like it. She stood up there in the community clubhouse, clipboard in hand, smile like acid, and announced a new safety initiative. Every homeowner would now have to give the HOA a key to their garage and any storage outbuildings supposedly for emergency access. I raised my hand. "Yeah, I'm not doing that," I said. Her smile froze. She tried the sweet voice mandatory safety rule fire department, all that nonsense. I told her flat out the fire department has axes, they'll get in faster that way. A few neighbors coughed to hide their laughter. Karen's face turned pink. Her boyfriend, Brandon Cole, puffed up like a cheap bodyguard and barked something about protection. I looked him dead in the eye. "No thanks, I'll protect myself." Karen threatened fines. She warned me if I so much as opened my garage door without one of their compliance officers, they'd call 911. She said it in front of 50 neighbors, a direct threat. I nodded, walked out, and told myself one thing: this wasn't about safety. This was about control. The next day, I rolled up my garage door like I always did. Sunlight spilled in tools, glinting my bike, waiting. Across the street, Karen stood on her porch with her phone to her ear, smirking like she'd just won something. I waved at her, rolled my grandpa's Triumph out, and got to work. 20 minutes later, a police cruiser pulled up. Sergeant Deeks stepped out calm as stone. Karen charged across the street, pointing at me, screaming about hazardous materials. Deeks asked her what kind. She sputtered, "We don't know." He looked at me, at my motorcycle, at my deed and registration, and said flat, "This is not a police matter. Do not call us again unless it's a real emergency." The color drained from her face. For the first time, someone with actual authority told her no, and I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd back down. But Karen wasn't wired that way. That night, I realized she was just getting started. I woke to the sound of metal grinding. My stomach sank. I checked my garage camera feed and my blood ran cold. Brandon and some thug had pried open the side door and were drilling into my safe. Sparks flying. They were inside my home. My first instinct was to grab a bat and go end it, but then I remembered my grandpa's words. "Don't start a fight, Benny. Be smarter than the other guy." So I hit record on my phone, switched over to my little tinker project, a sprinkler zone I'd rigged with chalk line dust. When they stumbled out, coughing and blue from head to toe, slipping on my porch like clowns at a circus, I almost laughed. Neighbors' lights flipped on cameras, caught it all. They ran off, leaving a trail of blue dust, but I had everything on video, their faces, the break-in, the drill, the whole show. For a moment I sat there shaking. Part of me thought, this is too much. They're in charge. They'll bury me in complaints, fines, lies. Maybe I should just sell the house. Walk away, start over somewhere else. I'm just one guy against the whole damn HOA. What if I'm wrong? What if it's not worth it? But then I remembered my grandpa's voice. A man's got a right to his own space. Don't ever let anyone take that from you. And I knew I couldn't walk away. Not from this. The next morning I called Sergeant Deeks. Within hours, he was at my kitchen table watching the video stone-faced until the chalk dust part when he let out the faintest smile. Then he got serious. "That's Brandon Cole. That's burglary. We're getting a warrant." With the warrant in hand, a locksmith opened the safe, and inside wasn't junk. It was cash. Piles of it. Fake IDs, passports, and one small black ledger. That ledger told the whole story, dates, names, payments, all tying Brandon and Karen to missing HOA funds. Pool repairs, clubhouse maintenance, drainage projects, all fake. All money funneled straight into their pockets. Suddenly, it all clicked. The flooded storm drain that almost swallowed my neighbor's kid Leo, the fines, the endless safety initiatives, it was all cover for theft. That night, in the middle of a storm, I heard Leo's cries. He was trapped in that rising water clutching his dog. I waded out, pulled him to safety, handed him back to his sobbing mom. And when I looked up, I saw Lisa Truman, a timid HOA board member standing in the rain with a folder clutched to her chest. Our eyes met, and something in her broke. Fear turned to anger. She came to my door and said, "Karen lied to us." I can't stay quiet anymore. Lisa had kept copies of every board meeting, every invoice, every crooked payment. With her evidence, my video, and Deke's investigation, we had an airtight case. But I wanted more than a courtroom win. I wanted the neighborhood to see what had been done to them. So we went door to door. Me, Lisa, and my neighbor Paul Kim, the guy with the giant backhoe who had already parked it across my driveway once to block Karen's goons from hauling the safe away. At first, people were scared. Karen had trained them well. She'd threatened fences, lawns, mailboxes. But when we showed the video of Brandon turning blue when we laid out the ledger alongside their HOA dues, the fear started to crack. And then Mrs. Jensen, the mom of little Leo, signed the petition herself and brought 10 more signatures from other mothers. That was the turning point. Fear gave way to anger, and anger gave way to courage. By the night of the HOA meeting, the community center was packed. Karen sat at the front table beaming like she still owned the place. Brandon sat next to her pale and sweating. When my turn came, she sneered, gave me 3 minutes. I didn't look at her, I looked at my neighbors, and then I pressed play. First, the photo of me carrying Leo out of the flood. Gasps filled the room. Then the audio of Karen's shrieking 911 call accusing me of being dangerous. People looked from me, calm, standing at the podium, to the voice on the speakers, and their faces hardened. Next came Sergeant Deke's body cam showing him telling Karen she was wrong. Then the garage footage, Brandon and his buddy breaking in, drilling the safe, getting blasted in the face with blue chalk. The room erupted with laughter, people clapping, shouting. And then silence as I put the ledger up on the screen. Line by line, payment by payment. All of it traced straight to Brandon Cole. $15,000 for drainage maintenance never done. $15,000 in Brandon's pocket. I turned to Karen, who was white as a ghost. "This," I said, "is where your money went." She broke, screaming, denying, accusing me of lies. She shouted that this all started because I wouldn't give her a key. And that's when I pulled the key to my garage from my pocket, held it up for everyone to see, and said, "You want this? Then let's swap. My garage key for your front door key. Fair's fair, right?" The room exploded. Laughter, cheers, a release of years of fear. Karen's face twisted in panic. The vote was called. Hands shot up like a wave, dozens, scores, overwhelming. Karen was recalled stripped of power right there. And then the final sound, the sound of handcuffs. Sergeant Deeks walked calmly up the aisle, read the charges out loud. Embezzlement, conspiracy, burglary. Brandon tried to shrink into his chair, but the cuffs found his wrists too. The entire neighborhood sat in stunned silence as Karen Moore, the queen of control, was led out in disgrace. That was the end of her rule. Never hand the keys to your freedom to someone who only wants to lock you in.